Hello, and welcome to part 2 of Navigating Disabilities Q&A, where you have asked the questions and we are providing the answers from our personal perspective and life experiences. My name is April Meredith.
And my name is Alicia Searcy.
What do we have today?
Today we have some really interesting questions. The first one is, how do you go shopping?
For me, as a person who has no functional vision, I use a sighted guide. Sometimes it's as simple as my husband or my teenage daughter to help me choose clothes, check out prices, locate food items in grocery stores, and navigate around a grocery store. But if I want to go alone, I can do that too, because most mid-size to large-size stores and chains will offer to give you an employee for your shopping time as your shopping assistant. And some places prefer that you arrange this ahead of time, but it's not a problem. For people who might have some limited low vision, they like to use apps and some talking devices sometimes to help them navigate, and use magnifiers, for example, to see the details of the prices and sizes of items. How about you?
Well, for me, the biggest problem is getting there, and I have, my better half will take me there, and if not, I can arrange for transportation. Once I get to where I'm going, and if it's the grocery store, then I can get assistance, just like you mentioned, from an employee. But if I'm shopping for clothing, I tend to go to smaller boutiques, and I try to establish relationships with people that actually work there and own the place.
That's a good idea.
And I get very good service and preferential treatment as a valued customer, because people want our business as disabled people. They really appreciate it if you come back and patronize them. And they will go the extra mile to help you if you will help them.
That's good advice. I should start becoming a more regular patron and choose some of my favorite stores to go to. I do like shoes. And I know some stores. I have some stores in mind I could do that with.
Yes, shoes could be a long conversation.
All right,
So
what else we got?
Let's move on.
Okay.
How do you cook?
Oh, that's a good question. So I've gone to the store. I've got my items. Sometimes in the store, I use a device called a pen friend, where I can have labels with a magnetic and sticker, and I rubber band it to an item and say I want the recipe that's on the back of the box, the directions for making the cake. Then I can actually use this pen friend to record anything I want into that label immediately. That way, whenever I'm ready to make that cake, then I've got the directions already there. My best friend in the kitchen is my crock pot. Just like a lot of people, I'm not a big cook, never have been, never will be, so I like to have my cooking directions, measure out everything with some measuring cups that either have braille or raised measurements on them. There's some apps to identify and read barcodes on items, specific ingredients that I might need to find. I organize it all in one tray on the counter, everything that I need, and then put it all together, throw it in, and there you have it.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Oh, well, you haven't had my cooking.
Well, I used to be a pretty serious cook. I do have dexterity issues, especially fine motor skills. So I'm very slow in the kitchen, and it's very difficult for me to cut things. It takes a long time.
That makes sense.
And it is difficult for me at this point at my age to do a lot of lifting of heavy pots and pans. I find that extra handles and extra those hot mitts that are made out of the heat resistant.
Yes, I have my UV gloves too. Those are very helpful for me.
There you go, exactly. Do help.
Yes.
And I think you take your convenience and your shortcuts where you can, but I try and focus on nutrition and health. I want to keep it healthy and keep it simple at this point, like you too, because I have a busy life.
Yeah, I eat a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, so it's just a matter of patiently, cutting them and eating them.
True. So, how do you use a computer?
That's a tough question for a lot of people. For me, I use a thing called a screen reader, which is a software program that identifies and transmits all text that you can see visually on a computer screen into speech. There's various keystrokes that I can utilize to access this information. Some people that are a little bit better at Braille than I am have adaptive monitors that actually transmit and translate the any text that's on the screen into Braille on this electronic device and read it that way. And that's particularly handy for a friend of mine who is vision impaired and also has cerebral palsy and thus has some mobility concerns. He reads Braille with only one hand. So this electronic device is very stable and allows him to have plenty of access to much information out there on the internet and what have you. How about yourself?
Well, for me, as I mentioned before, I have some dexterity issues. I can only type with one hand, and I have a grasping reflex as well. So it's very difficult for me to use things like telephone keypads, and even some of the smaller tablets are challenging for me. I do better with a full-size computer and a full-size keyboard, and even then I can only type with my right hand, and I miss a lot of keys. But it's easier for me to navigate things when they're somewhat larger. I kind of need the Fisher-Price version of things because it's easier for me to hit the right keys.
Makes sense. All right. Well, that's all for us today. So if you would like any more information from us, we'd like to encourage you to please look us up and like us on Facebook at People First, and look for People First of Tennessee, and we'd be glad to stay in touch with you.
Until then, bye-bye.
All right. Have a good day.